Peace and love, bag babes. It's your girl Nashe. What's up? What's good? Welcome back to my channel. Now today, I am going to show you a bag, sort of, kind of. However, there's a little twist to it because this is my crafty bag. This is the tote that I throw my craft items in. I did want to go through this crafty tote. I picked this up from Amazon a couple years ago. It holds a lot. Look at all this. Look at all this. It holds a lot. So I'm happy to have this in my life because it makes things convenient. It tends to get really full, as you can see. I am a junk journalist. Is that a word? Is that the word? I don't know. I'm a lifetime crafter, so you'll always find me doing some kind of craft, learning some kind of craft, trying some kind of craft. And I want to say about 8 years ago, I made my first junk journal. If you're not familiar with junk journals, it's all over the place. You can Google it. But the quick answer is basically it's a journal that you create, a handmade journal, and basically you use scraps. You find junk, scraps, whatever, baubles, buttons, cardboard boxes, strange papers that have coffee spilled on it, whatever. There's really no limitation when it comes to junk journals, and there are really no rules. There are some basics that you'd want to know, and of course some guidelines to maybe follow, but honestly, I love this because for me, it really speaks to my rebellious spirit, right? So let's jump right into this messy, crafty tote and see what your girl's been up to. It is from a company called JJR Ring. That's what's embroidered here, JJR Ring. So I guess that's the company. Let's get started. As a junk journal artist, I don't know what I call myself. I don't know what I call myself, but you collect stuff. I have a lot. So the first thing that I can pull out of this crafty tote is this right here. It does have paint on it because I do use it often. And this is just basically a cutting board. And I like to glue things. I work in a small space. Sometimes I have to move to the actual dining room table. So I like to have things to protect my surfaces. And I find that cutting boards like these flimsy plastic ones, really work for me. See what else I feel in the back. Perfect example. This is literally just a piece of cardboard, just some junk. However, the way it was ripped when I opened the packaging, I ended up leaving by accident a little pocket here. So this actually is going to serve as a pocket in a junk journal. Do you see how my fingers can slide right in? It's literally just paper. It's literally just torn cardboard. But it will become a beautiful pocket in a beautiful journal at some point. Let's see what else I have. A lot of times I'm cooking, or I will have a delivery, or I'll go get the mail, and I'll see the most beautiful things. Most people will not see the beauty in these things. They will be discarded. However, I see the beauty in junk, so I hoard it. Yeah. All right, so the next thing that I can feel is actually this right here. So this was a tote bag that I had gotten from the Georgia Aquarium. And it has sharks on it. It's really cute, really nice. However, I used the tote bag a little bit to hold like shopping bags in my tiny little pantry. However, when I was cleaning out the pantry, I was like, this will make a really nice aquatic cover for a junk journal. Really flimsy, but it's a nice fabric that I can work with, and I'm sure that it will glue well to whatever I stick it on. And this is the other side of that. So I have two sides that I saved. Now normally, like I said, if I'm just in the kitchen or just somewhere in the main part of the house and I have mail or something comes and I'm like, oh, I could use that, I'll just snip it, cut it real quick, and then I'll slide it in here because this is the closest thing to me. And then I'll transfer my scraps or the clippings or whatever in its rightful place. I try to keep things organized, and I've gotten much better at that over the past couple weeks. Moving on, what else do I feel? All right, so this is another thing that's not in the right place. These are just little plastic bags. Next, what's this? Okay. So this is just a magnet sheet. I had it stuck to the fridge for a little while, just writing like grocery lists. And then I realized that I wasn't using it and I didn't want it anymore. But I was like, it has really good magnet on the back that I can use, right? So I decided I also have had this little picture stuck on my refrigerator. My son drew this years ago. He is an adult man now. But he had drawn this years ago and I always kept it, this little picture of a lion. So what I plan on doing is basically cutting out the lion and gluing it onto the magnet, and then I'll do some kind of protective covering or whatever. And then I'll have a nice little magnet that I can just keep on the fridge, and it'll just remind me of my son. So that's what that is. All right, what else is in here? Okay, well, here is a box of popcorn. This is Pop Secret popcorn. And like I told y'all, I collect cardboard because this is the beginning of a junk journal. I mean, there's a few different ways you can make a junk journal, but this is probably the most popular way, which is using a old cardboard box. As you see already, the cardboard box already has a spine. It already has a cover, a front cover and a back cover. So it's very easy to turn this into a book cover. So that's what this is waiting on. I also have a place that I keep a bunch of cardboard in my basement, and this needs to be down there, but we just finished the popcorn, so there's that. This yellow envelope. This envelope, just some regular mail, but also can be used in junk journals. There's a number of things you can do with envelopes, so I tend to keep envelopes that are unique, that are a good size, that are sturdy, because I like to put them in my junk journals as well. Next, what is this? Okay, this is just some butterfly fabric that I picked up from Walmart. It is 18 by 21 inches, and I think it's gonna make a really pretty spring or summertime junk journal. Feel more fabric here. This is some red polka dot fabric. The current journal that I'm working on, I may use this in that journal, not sure. All right, here's something else that came in the mail. It just basically says, "You love Atlanta." This is from the neighborhood planning committee. So I can use this for a number of things. It has on the back, it has the little map of Atlanta right here. I can cut that out. I can just stick this somewhere. It could work in a collage. Who knows, but I have it. I'm hoarding it. All right, this was the beginning of a collage that I was working on. I actually feel like this right here was part of that. Sometimes I'll put bits of paper and images and magazine clippings and that sort of thing in these little plastic bags. I also have a little binder that I keep them in. Collage was actually one of my first, probably the first messy art that I ever tried, and I was about 7 years old. 7, 8, 9, right around that age is when I started playing around with images on paper and loved it. And so I do a little collage. I'd like to do more collage, but that is where the love of messy crafting began, with some ripped magazine pages. So that's what this is. Let's see. I feel a bunch of stuff back here. All right, let me just pull this out. This is just an old calendar from 2018. And it has really nice images in there. An example of some of the imagery. This is really an old school typewriter. Create your own sunshine. So just really, really nice images to work with. I can cut out the words, I can cut out just the letters, or I can just cut out the flowers. Anything is possible. All right, what else do we have? This is just my basic paper cutter. I use this a lot. This is something from Walmart. You can get this for about $8, $10, $12. And it is one of those tools that I believe is necessary in any type of paper craft. So this I use to cut paper with. And let's see. Okay. This is just some painter, you know, like when you go to Home Depot, you'll find papers that show you the color of the paint, basically. So that's what I picked up, several of those, because I have a project in mind. Ooh, child, it's hot. Here's a bunch more in like brown colors. I had a idea that popped into mind when I was looking at these 3 colors, and then using this as some sort of background. So like I said, I use a lot of things that people normally would not even consider and people would toss in the trash. So that's that. This is a junk journal that I was working, I made it last year, and I had been working in it for the summer of last year into the fall, and then I just kind of stopped. I did not use a cardboard box with this one at all. So like I said before, there's different ways to do your junk journals. But this was my journal from last summer. All right, you guys, the battery died. I didn't realize, and I just kept talking. So give me a second to okay, take 2. Take 2. Let's continue. Let's continue. This is my pouch, and I keep all my junk journaling supplies in here. So in here we will find lots of cords. We'll find some cords in here. It's all messy. Some messy art, okay? And we will find some, this is called an owl. It is a poking tool, so you use it to poke holes. I think I have 2 in here. Very sharp. So this is my poking tools. And I have another one right here too. It actually shouldn't be there. This is another poking tool. And I also have clips like so in here. I have some glue. I have a Sharpie in here. I have bone folders in here, and this is good to keep the papers, to straighten your papers out, to give you a nice sharp edge. Let's see, I have a old template that I use to create a spine of a book. That is basically everything. That's basically everything I have on the bottom of this bag. I do have some needles, but this is my messy pouch. I like it because of the sturdiness and because I have poking tools and sometimes scissors in here. It keeps everybody safe, keeps me safe, okay? So this is a nice quality material. Here is the junky book that I created a couple months ago. I actually did a video on it showing you guys my steps when I was trying to do the 5-hole pamphlet stitch. I think I'm saying that right. So this right here is unfinished still because I never came back. I wanted to finish this with you all. So if you're interested in that, let me know. But yeah, it's just blank. I got these papers out of a box. I had bought something from the Home Depot and they sent all this stuffing and I did not want to throw it away. So I was like, what could I do with the stuffing? So using some, what is this? A big old envelope from Amazon, and then using the stuffing paper, I was able to create this large junky journal. But again, I don't have a theme for it. I still need to fix the cover. I might do a video working on this and beautifying it, but I really like it. I really like it. Very happy with how it came out. Here I have a tiny little healing mat. This is just something portable, but I have a larger one that I tend to use with my projects. I have a large pink one on my wish list. Really want to get a large pink healing mat. Sorry, just took a moment to daydream. All right, so there's that. I went through a moment last summer where I was teaching myself how to draw. So this right here is a tiny little kit, and inside of the tin we have pencils, we have a eraser, and we have a sharpener. We have some random plastic bags because I like to keep my scraps in here, or papers that I want to use for a different project, or like I said before, sometimes I'll just slip everything that is going to be in one project in this plastic bag, and I'll store it, and I will continue to add to it so that when I'm ready to actually create the junk journal, I have all the scraps, the fabrics, the pieces, everything in one spot, and I can get to work. Right, so what else is in here? Okay, do you remember the boy bag that I made out of that old cheap pink book bag? I ended up cutting it out, the words boy mom, and I'm gonna keep this, and I'll probably put it in a junk journal as some memorabilia. And so yeah, we just kept this piece right here. And from that bag, I also salvaged the pouch, the pocket. Not quite sure what we're gonna do with this yet, but something told me to hang on to it. I got rid of the actual book bag, but something told me that I should hang on to this piece and this piece, and so I did. Gotta listen to the crafty gods when they speak to you. Alrighty. This right here is just scrap. Honestly, I just like the pinks on here, but it's really just scrap. But again, any piece of scrap could be used to make a pocket, or it comes in handy, right? So I kept it, but yeah, hoarding. This was supposed to be a signature in a journal. It never made it into the journal. This is an empty box, and what was in this box was some plant-based deli meat. This is from the Ttyl brand, and I just thought it would be interesting. The cardboard is pretty sturdy, and I thought it would make a cute little journal. So she should be with all the other cardboard boxes and pieces that I hoard. So we'll get her in her right place. My son brought home a cookie from Wendy's, and I just said to myself, I probably can use that in a junk journal. So I wiped it out as best I could, and she's just waiting to be used. This right here was a template for signatures in a recent journal. I was creating the papers, so I needed a template to make sure all the papers were the same size. Here we have some rulers. We always need rulers for obvious reasons. So I have a couple. I have several more, but these are the ones that I usually just grab and use. And this one right here is super cute because she has glitter. She has glitter. I'm a glitter girl. I love glitter. I love glitter. This right here was just a Women's History Month bookmark. Let's see. So we just have a couple more bits in the bottom of this tote. All right, so just random bits of paper. This is cardboard. Came out of a toy. This right here I like. This came from a makeup case from the Dollar Tree, but I love the makeup brushes, and I figured I could use the image for something in a junk journal. This is just some aluminum that I cut. It reminded me of the shape of lips, and so I'll probably be using this in some sort of collage. Just pieces of paper. Just pieces of paper. All right, so that's empty. That is empty. That is everything that I had in the middle of the tote. Now we'll tackle the pockets, right? And this side of the pocket, I just have a tripod that comes in very handy. It's small, very portable, and it does what it needs to do. So I like it. This was a gift from my hubs. Tiny box of crayons. A little packet of tea. It was pineapple tea. It was so good, and I had to keep the packaging, so I'll be using this in a junk journal that I'm creating that only consists of packaging from kitchen food. The next pocket, I do have my book light. Comes in handy all the time. Has a little swivel head. It just does what it needs to do. I don't just use it for reading, I use it for everything. This is pretty much my flashlight at this point, but I love it. Got it from Amazon for about $5, and I'm probably gonna get 1 or 2 more. Really like it. In this front pocket right here, I just have a little sewing kit. And there's something in this too. This is a beautiful stone. Very pretty. I have to look up the name because I don't like not knowing the names of my stones and not being able to identify them. But I don't even remember when I slipped this into the tote. So beautiful stone. I'm a gemstone type of girl. So we have that. In the middle pocket here, I just have some reflective paper. Figure this will come in handy as well. I'm just like the queen of scrap, okay? I just have scrap paper everywhere. And so that's that. Here's another bone folder. This is the one that I use the most. A little notebook for notes, because I always have a notebook. So, little notebook. Let's see. Cute little album that I picked up from Urban Outfitters. It's just, remember back in the day we used to have albums in our purses? Well, that's what this is, but I won't be using it for pictures. I'll probably be using it for, could be a lot of things actually, because I do a lot of dried flowers, so we can put some dried flowers in here. That'll be a nice little album. Or I can do tiny collages, and that'll be another cute idea. So I'm not sure, but it's here, and I'll be using it at some point in the next few weeks. This right here is just a little piece of scrap. This was on a This was on a barrette in the Walmart, but the paper was kind of like ripped off. It was just kind of dangling there, just kind of ripped off the actual barrette. And I'll let you use your imagination as to how it got from the floor of Walmart to my home, because I knew they were gonna just throw it away. So I'll let you use your imagination to figure out how I got it home. But I had to be creative, because like I said, I salvage what others might throw away. And so therefore, I don't feel bad about this one. I saved Minnie. I saved her from the rubbish. So yeah, I think that's everything in the front pockets. Let's move to the side. See how the bag is collapsing a little? I have a pen. That's it in the top one. But in the bottom pocket, I have an old ID. And I'm not pulling it out, privacy purposes, and I'll just keep it in there, but it's an old ID. And that is everything in these pockets. You might see these actually no. I have this right here. I have my scissor, and my favorite scissor to use with paper, and it's very sharp. So what I did was I created like a little sleeve for it with some cardboard. Comes in handy because I don't want to poke any holes in my tote bag, so A crafty girl's gotta do what a crafty girl's gotta do. That's everything in the pockets, so you'll see these little clips around. I do that for convenience sake. A lot of times when you are creating and you're crafting and you're using glue, you need to clip things together to keep it stuck together. And so that's what I use all of this for. So you'll always find some type of clip, paper clip, clothesline clip, any type of clip here because I am trying to keep my papers together. We have something in this pocket right here. I didn't even notice that. We actually have a couple things in this pocket right here. So I have a blade, and I'll use it. So this is a trusty blade. These are just scraps that came from a packet of papers that I had, and I was working on a journal. So these were just like the leftovers, but I thought they were super pretty and they could be used again at some point. So that's what these are. Like I said, the queen of scrap, okay? That would be me. That would be me. I was never into scrapbooking. I stayed very far from scrapbooking. I never considered myself a scrapbooker at all. So it's kind of like I kind of jumped into junk journaling. A lot of people will kind of go into scrapbooking and then find junk journaling. That's not my story. And the very last thing I have, these bag charms. So we have a strawberry and then we have a diamond. And some of you may remember these charms from a couple summers ago when everybody was running to the Dollar Tree getting charms, right? So that's from that era. But that is my crafty tote. I use it every single day. So one of my best bag purchases that I've made in a couple years, to be honest. Let me go ahead and fill her back up, you all. I want to thank you for checking out my video. What crafty projects are you getting into? Do you have a crafty project? Are you a junk journalist as well? Let me know in the comments, you all. I want to thank you for spending some time with me today. And until the next time, you all, keep it cute. And I'll talk to you soon. Peace and love.